Hi everyone, TARDIS Guy 123 here, and today I'm going to be doing a 6th Doctor DVD review. This time we are of course looking at Attack of the Cybermen. So this is his second story, Colin Baker's second story in the role, and it's already a year on from the first, the Twin Dilemma, because that came out at the end of Peter Davison's final season and whatnot. So anyway, here we have Attack of the Cybermen, which is probably one of the most controversial and polarising stories in Doctor Who's history. I'll go into more detail on that in a bit. First, let's have a look at all this lovely stuff. So obviously, Doctor Who logo, Attack of the Cybermen, quite a nice cover actually. You've got Cyber Controller there, Suicide Man and a normal Cyberman, a Cryon, 6th Doctor himself, and there is Cyber Control blowing up. Never really been fond of that image there, but nevertheless. Then you got the banner bit at the bottom. Then on the sides, 6th Doctor head again. Don't like that image too much. Attack of the Cybermen, to entertain, BBC, etc. Then on the back we have even more stuff, some pictures here. Then special features, obviously Cold War documentary. It's quite interesting, I guess. Cyber story, human cyborg, some other stuff. Mainly Cybermen based. Some are okay. And then on the inside, just one disc this time, and there's your leaflet. So now let's look at that leaflet. Front, middle, with more details on the special features and the commentary. I have listened to part 1 of the commentary, I haven't listened to part 2 though, but part 1 was quite enjoyable, especially listening to Terry Malloy alongside Nicola Bryant and Colin Baker. And there you have your chapter points. Obviously it's only a 2-parter, so there aren't as many chapter points. However, you would think that because it's a double length episode they would include more chapter points for each episode, but no they don't, so well, who's going to really complain about that? Yes. So, Attack of the Cybermen itself, what do I think of this story? It's very much a game of two halves, to be honest. The first half is quite enjoyable. It's not perfect by any means, it does have its flaws. The music being one of them, that what is that? Some of the music just feels out of place, like when the TARDIS lands in the junkyard. I don't even want to utter that one, it's just terrible. However, there are some wonderful bits of dialogue, especially in part 1. And with Lytton's character, obviously Lytton returns from what's called Resurrection of the Daleks. He gets some wonderful lines, and I think one of my favourites is where he says, he gives this other guy a hammer. I can't remember the other guy's name, he's one of the thugs, and he says, I used to use one of these when I worked for the council, and then Lytton just says, this time it's for swinging, not for leaning on. And I think that's just such a wonderful line. I'm not sure what it is, but Eric Saywood really has an affinity for good lines like that. Just good, simple lines. Maybe plots a bit less, but that line, and loads of other ones like it throughout the story, just make it shine in my eyes just that little bit more. However, as I was just saying, he isn't too good with story, and especially in this one, it feels like, well actually let's talk about that, the authorship of it, because it says Paul Moore in the titles only, apparently it's Eric Saywood. Ian Levine says he wrote it, or at least had some input on it. I have no idea, to be honest, but let's just say it's Eric Saywood for the sake of it, because he's the one who wrote the majority of it. But anyway, as I was saying, the plot just feels too much continuity, dragging it down. There's too much continuity in this. I mean, one bit once in a while would be alright, but here you have Return to Totter's Lane, which is absolutely pointless. The scrapyard there, what was the point in that scene? There was no point in it being there whatsoever. And then you have 10th Planet reference, basically the whole plot of Mondas blowing up, being brought back from that. Again, that's supposed to be the main plot point of this. And yeah, it just doesn't have enough focus on it. Talk more about that later as well. Then you have the tombs from Tomb of the Cybermen. It just feels like a letdown because the original ones were so much better. And then in this, they just feel bleh. So it's trying to kind of like play off the viewer's memory, but at the same time it just disappoints them because it's not the same and not as good. Cybermen in the Sewers, I actually quite like that one, that callback to the invasion, because it's subtly done, it's not kind of like shoved in your face or anything, it just works. I think that one works quite well. And finally we obviously have Lytton returning from Resurrection of Daleks, and I quite like that because his character's expanded upon here, so as you can see, some good continuity stuff, some not so good. And as I was saying about the 10th planet, you know, I get the feeling that Halley's Comet, I assume that's Halley's Comet there actually, but I'm assuming that all that stuff was supposed to be the kind of like centre plot of this, but because of all the other continuity stuff, and also loads of other plot points in this, it just loses focus. I'm not sure what the main plot's supposed to be. I'm assuming it's supposed to be the whole Mondas plot, but it's not given nearly enough focus as it should be, which is unfortunate, because, you know, that plot idea has some potential, but it's absolutely wasting this because it's not given the focus it deserves. So, yeah, it's coming across that I'm not too keen on this story, and when I first watched it, I did not care for it whatsoever. That was when I was quite young. As I've gone back, I have found a bit more to enjoy in it. You know, Colin Baker, here, you know, you can often say that the Doctor lifts the story. You know, a lot of Tom Baker's bad stories are lifted by his presence as a Doctor. But here, you know, it's not, he doesn't drag the story down further, he just doesn't lift it up at all. And, you know, I'm not sure what it is. I think Colin is an amazing Doctor, by the way, especially on Big Finish. But here, and in most of his TV stories, not all of his TV stories, some are quite good that I've seen, but most of them just don't work for his Doctor, and he just doesn't work in them, I'm afraid. You know, you may have a totally different opinion on that, and that's fine, but for me, Colin, just on TV, he's not a very good Doctor. On audio, he's amazing, but on TV, yeah, he's definitely not had the best of days on TV, I'm afraid. But anyway, other plot points of the story. The Cryons, in the documentary, you'll find that Eric Saywood said he intended them to be male, but they ended up being female because of the director's decision. I can't remember. Matthew Robertson, I think, is the director, actually. Just check the back. Director Matthew Robinson. I'm not sure if you can make that out just above my thumb. But yeah, he is the director. So anyway, yeah, he made that suggestion, and Eric Saywood wasn't too fond of it, but it went through anyway, so they were changed to female. I personally quite like that idea, because, you know, it kind of contrasts them to the masculine Cybermen and whatnot. It works quite well, and also it gives the story a bit more balance, because otherwise Peri would have been the only female, which would have been quite bad. But I feel they could have been portrayed a little bit better. It's the way they were a bit floaty and a bit off. You know, they just, something about them just didn't work for me. It jarred. I like that they were female. I don't think them being female was the problem, but I just think the way they were portrayed was the problem. So that is my general overview of Attack of the Cybermen. Oh, one more thing actually, Peri, what on earth is she wearing in part 1? Part 2, she actually comes up a bit more, but part 1, that is more revealing than Leela's jungle get-up that she has. You know, I don't know what on earth to say about that. I suppose it's nice to look at if you like that sort of thing, but, you know, it's Doctor Who, do we really need that? So that is my overview of Attack of the Cybermen. Rating? Solid 5, I'd say, actually. You know, it's not anything above that or anything below that, to be honest. You know, because it does have, as I said, some good things, such as the some lines in this are very good. Some story aspects work quite well. I quite like the Lytton storyline and whatnot. and also the ending with that all works quite well, but overall, yeah, 5 I think is a good one for this, because there's too much going on that just doesn't have the focus it needs. So thanks for watching this review of Attack of the Cybermen, and I shall see you all next time. Bye everyone.